Hi there, welcome to Ian Reviews Sports. My name is Ian McNaughton. You're watching this on the Speak Your Piece YouTube channel. I wanted to do this video last week, but I never quite got around to it just because I had stuff coming up and there was a lot going on. But now, not quite a week later, I am finally getting around to this. I wanted to discuss Claressa Shields making her MMA debut for PFL, Professional Fighters League, last Thursday in Atlantic City against Brittany Elkin. It's a big deal for Claressa Shields, for the PFL, for MMA. It's a really fascinating fight that took place with a lot of storylines. So I'll get into it a little bit. So if you don't know who Claressa Shields is, she is a very talented, one of the best boxers in the world right now. Undefeated boxer, 11-0. She is the only boxer, male or female, to hold all four major titles in boxing. That's the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO, simultaneously in two weight classes. She is the first woman to win the lineal championship in two weight classes. She has a decorated career in boxing, including winning two Olympic gold medals in 2012 in London and in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro, both in the middleweight division. She is a phenomenal boxer, one of the best boxers in the world. And last Thursday, she was making her MMA debut in PFL, and this comes about 3 months. So she fought on March 15th to retain her WBC and WBO super welterweight titles, and she then took 3 months off to train to prepare for this MMA fight. She'd been training MMA for about the last 7 months at the Jackson Wink MMA facilities where John Jones usually trains in New Mexico, and training alongside Holly Holm. She's a former boxer who turned MMA star. It's a really fascinating transition. Now she's not giving up boxing entirely. Shields has stated she wants to become like a Deion Sanders, a Bo Jackson, two sport athletes who dominates in boxing and dominates in the MMA. So last Thursday was her first MMA fight against Brittany Elkin in Atlantic City, as I mentioned. Um, I'll go through the fight here a bit. I do have some notes taken down, but pretty much Elkin with the takedown 1 minute into round one. Elkin's a very intriguing fighter herself. She, before this fight, coming into this fight, 3-6 record, hadn't won a fight since 2016. Her kind of skills or where her strengths were in the stand-up game as well. But as you'll see for most of this fight, if you watch the highlights, Elkin does a lot of takedowns, does a lot of shoots where she's trying to get Shields onto the ground, which is kind of fascinating considering that's not where Elkin's strength is either. But I mean, do you want to go toe to toe with one of the best boxers in the world? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to do that. Shields gets out of the takedown and clinches on the cage, and then Shields unloads with ground and pound before Elkin drives her into the cage again. So Shields was doing really well with ground and pound, getting some good overhand shots in, but then Elkin drives her into the cage. Shields battles with hand position against Elkin. Elkin is on top, controlling the action. So this is where Shields is really having to defend herself because she got Elkin on top of her. She's trying to work her hands and trying to slow Elkin down, and she actually does a fairly good job on it. Now Elkin misses out on an armbar, but Shields had terrific defense to close it out because Shields was so strong. So Elkin, pretty much has her in the armbar, not quite middle of the cage, but has her in the armbar. Shields is so strong. She rips her arm out, like just powerful, just yanks her arm out and then gets up and then just starts beating Elkin on top. And that was pretty much how the round ended. I thought Elkin won round one because she was in control for most of it. Shields did land some pretty good shots, but just takedowns and ground control put Elkin in top, I thought, after the first round. Shields starts the second round with some amazing combos, but then gets taken down by Elkin again. Um, Beautiful combinations, powerful shots, uh, right to the face of Shields, or right to the face of Elkin by Shields, and she does a terrific job with combos, just throwing overhand rights, not a big deal. I wonder how much the smaller gloves are helping instead of having the big, however, 12-ounce boxing gloves, maybe having 4-ounce MMA gloves helping unload those punches even more. Elkin goes for an arm bar with 25 seconds left, but Shields escapes, gets up, and starts throwing more punches. Kind of the same thing. Um, just another, more punches, more attacks with Shields, escaping another arm bar. Um, I was gonna say fairly good defense for the most part by Shields. Fairly good job by getting out of it, by getting out of arm bars, not putting herself in vulnerable position when she's down on the ground and she's fighting for ground position with Elkin. That's a little bit vulnerable. But in terms of putting herself in really bad situations, she escaped a couple arm bars, and that was really it for ground position. Shield ends round 2 with some heavy strikes and hammer fists on top of Elkin. So kind of similar to round 1. Elkin controls most of it with ground control. Shields gets an escape by the end, throws some shots, probably not enough to win the round, but at least making her presence felt. I thought Elkin was a bit slow to get up after the bell rung, and going back over to her corner, she looked a little bit slow. I don't know if that was something that I missed or that the broadcasters missed during the end of the second round heading into the third, but she just looked a little bit slow, maybe a little bit exhausted getting up after that second round and trying to fight on the ground for most of the time. And then round 3 begins with a Shields overhand right that connects perfectly with Elkin's face. Just no doubt about it. Just perfectly timed shot by Shields right into the face of Elkin. Elkin goes for another takedown, but Shields holds it off and doesn't get taken down to the ground. So Shields defends herself. She's on her knees, standing up tall, strong hips, as they were saying in the broadcast, but doesn't actually get fully taken down. Shields is standing up pretty strong. And eventually Shields gets top position, throws strikes, connects quite a few with Elkin, providing no defense. Um, Basically, it's just Shields pounding on her. Elkin not really defending herself. She's not really getting her hands up. Her hands are kind of down by her side. It's in a really bad position for her. And after several shots to the face with no defense, Shields was pounding, and then she kind of took an extra second, maybe second and a half, to stop and then get set up and then start punching more. And by the time she started doing it the second time, the ref called it off. The fight was over. Round 3 with 3 minutes and 16 seconds left in the round. Shields wins her MMA debut against Brittany Elkin. A really, really great fight, especially for Shields. Winning on the ground like that is quite impressive. Shields finished with 88 completed strikes in 93 attempts. That's a 94.6% landing percentage. Just phenomenal. So, in fact, she had 30. She landed 39 of 41 arm strikes, 2 of 3 leg strikes. So the leg kicks were not really there for Shields, and then landed 47 of 50 ground strikes. So there you go. There's the 88 total strikes in 93 attempts with the 94.6% landing percentage. Shields is undefeated in boxing, 11-0, now undefeated in MMA. Elkin now has an MMA record of 3-7, last win coming in 2016. Shields boxed March 5th, won an MMA debut June 10th. I don't know what the future has for Claressa Shields. I'd love to see another MMA match with her. I think that would be great. I enjoyed this first one. It makes me want to watch some more PFL fights, which I think there are some more fights on Thursday night. But, now now it gets into the whole debate about where do you see boxing, where do you see MMA, what's happening in all this. And she had a really, really not tough time, but she did put herself in, and I guess, a couple of vulnerable positions on the ground. So she needs to work on the ground. And I think anybody who, pays attention to boxing and MMA understand the difference. Yeah, you're probably going to need to work on the ground if you're transferring, if you're converting from boxing to MMA. You need to work on your ground game a bit more. I think that's totally possible. I think she'll be terrific in her next MMA fight. I'm interested to see who she goes up against. This was so basically how PFL does their stuff. They kind of do regular season and then do playoffs. Shields was not a part of this. This was a non-regular season fight against Elkin, so she is not part of the PFL regular season tournament stuff that they do. This was just a one-off fight. I think she'll go back to boxing. I think she'll have to defend a belt, one of the belts, some belts at some point. Whenever it is, I don't know. She might do it by the end of the summer. It is June. She just fought in March. She will be somebody that you will want to pay attention to, and somebody to keep your eyes out as the future goes along. I can't say enough about her. She's uber talented, extremely fun to watch, especially in this fight when she just connected pretty much everything. 95% of her punches landed. That takes some talent. Not everybody can do that. So for Brittany Elkin, I don't know if she is going to retire or not. She is in her late 30s, I believe. 36. So she might retire. She might call it a career after this, but there is the thing of, you want to go out on top with a win, or you can't end your career with this many losses, but we'll see. So that is Ian Review Sports on the Claressa Shields Brittany Elkin women's lightweight fight on the PFL 4 card on Thursday, June 10th. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. If you're just going through and you just find us, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That we'll have some more Ian Review Sports coming up this weekend. Probably the UFC Fight Night card with Dan Ige and I think it's Korean Zombie who's fighting this weekend. Should be a good fight card. And then the F1 race as well, and probably the US Open. We'll do an Ian Review Sports on that. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll be back again soon. Peace out.